And away they go.
Alright, well, you always love to see a Terra start.
Terra starts nice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Terra gives you access to the sealed gate check. If you're feeling brave, you can get plenty of chests in there. You've got the Imperial Camp treasure room and then all of the wonderful chests inside the dungeon itself.
Nice free check at the end of it, too. Could be a character, could be an Esper, could be a great item. But you do have to be careful when we are using progression-based scaling. So any free check will advance all the monsters, all the enemies in the game by another 2 levels. So if you do too many of them up at the front, then you will level yourself. You level them right out of you. Could be in a spot of trouble.
Yeah, and that can be quite bad. You don't want to end up in fights you can't win. But it looks like Mr. Entity is wasting no time. Same with Fraggle. Straight into that treasure room there.
And it looks like fairly uneventful room. Pearl Rod can come in very handy at the start of the game. It's very strong magic, as long as what you're fighting isn't that can't absorb it. Fraggle's already taken an early fight. Did he forget the Moogle Charm, or is that or is this planned?
I'd assume it's planned. It can be useful to get those little extra levels. And yes, chat, I'm very sorry I forgot to start the timer. I will start it in just a second when I know how long they've been going for. This is a professional stream.
Mr. Entity following up into the sealed gate cave, working their way through as Zelfer checks out South Figaro. So it looks like everybody's taken a pretty much the same path so far. Fraggle doing an early fight for a little bit of grinding XP. Not a terrible idea. Depends on maybe he's anticipating that this free check is gonna advance the enemies, so he's just getting it out ahead of him.
Meanwhile, we've got Zelfa checking the Sen price very early over there in the World of Balance. And that's pretty cheap. Only 16,000, yeah.
But he can't afford it.
I'm sure he can make something happen. Now, we've got nothing really strange going on with the shops this week, or the chests. They're both on content shuffled with 20% randomness, so they could find a bargain. They could find some Illuminas or Ragnaroks. Maybe, but the chances aren't very high. I say that as Keith finds Illuminas.
Well, you love to see it. Illumina, maybe not by far, but definitely, in my opinion, the best item in the game. Not only is it super strong, guaranteed criticals with as long as you have 20 MP, and casting Pearl, it also has an enormous amount of defensive capability.
I think that's the first time I've ever pulled off the opposite of the commentator's curse.
Well, let's not give it up just yet. There's plenty of time to screw this over.
Yeah, obviously they're going to need a lot of money, and it looks like Sealed Gate is it's not a character, we know that much. Now they do need a lot of Espers, and yep, that's a good start.
So where did Keith find that Illumina? What shop was he in? I missed it.
That was Nash World of Balance weapon.
Gotcha. So pretty typical shopping spot. Guess we'll see a few people with those today, but not everybody checks them.
Yeah, I mean it's a very common one. It's one of my first checks, to be honest. But I know everybody has their own different little treasure routes.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on what characters you have. Some people will wait and do South Figaro till you have Celis, or wait and do Narsh until you have Mog, just so you can combine checks for efficiency. But sometimes a gamble. There can be some good stuff there that can really help you out, especially in this early game.
So, very different strategies up top from Mr. Entity and Fraggle. Mr. Entity choosing to take the potential grind fight in the Imperial base. Fraggle running straight past it and moving straight onto Albrook.
My preferred starting spot. Got a bunch of free boxes in there. Get to check some shops at the same time, and it's it's right in the path of all your Main Street shopping.
So, obviously, Albrook has one treasure check that isn't accessible in the World of Balance. How do you decide which world to do Albrook in?
Well, it's so if I'm starting with Terra and I have access to the Sealed Gate treasure room, I'll usually just stick in World of Balance just for the speed's sake. But if I don't, I'll head right to World of Ruin just for an extra box. Sometimes it's not worth it. You can get extremely unlucky and hit that Doomgaze fight right off the bat, but at least you're right at the start and you haven't lost too much time yet to reset.
True, I've hit that Doomgaze fight far too many times now.
It's definitely a gamble.
I save every island I hop in the early game.
And considering you don't really know what you're getting in, at least as far as South Figaro is concerned, because I like to head there in World of Ruin next after... Oh, I just saw an offering and on Fraggle's screen there, so that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, it could be a good find if they find themselves a Valiant now. Or fixed dice and don't like going fast.
Yeah, but obviously it's random, so you don't know what you're missing out on whether you choose one world or the other. In terms of South Figaro, all the chests and boxes outside are, I think they call them Schrodinger's chests. Like they change from world to world. But as far as inside, any boxes inside buildings, those will be the same. So
the one exception is the South Figaro cave, where the chests are technically inside, but they still change.
They do change, yeah. Yeah, mostly just inside towns, for whatever reason. We've got a flame shield on Mr. Entity's screen that can come in super handy, either defensively or offensively. Take the Jackamus Wedge approach and just break that sucker as soon as you can.
Or take the Zelpha approach and pray for an Esper with Merton. So yeah, everybody's just finishing up their treasure checks now. Most people have done Sealed Gate and seen what's there. I didn't see many amazing spells on Bismarck.
Nope, nothing caught my eye there.
It had Cure, I believe, but level 1 Cure by the end of the game. That's not really going to scale very well. Did have Quake if they can find Gaia Gear. That's
a fun strategy, although... probably, I don't know, at least half of the bosses in this game fly, so it's not foolproof. Then again, with Merton strats, not everything is vulnerable to fire, so.
Keith.
But they both do extreme big boy damage.
Yeah. Keith there jumping straight in on a lance. Looks like somebody might have their eye on Dragoon strats.
Ooh, my absolute favorite. Underrated strategy. Does take a while to get yourself going, but once you find a Dragon Horn, you're doing twice the amount of damage, as long as you have a lance. And that Dragon Horn can allow you to get up to 4 attacks in a row, so it can turn out to be really worth it.
Yeah, it can get pretty tasty, and it also works with fixed dice, as I learned the other day, quite nicely.
Right, apparently fixed dice just get the damage bonus, even though they have their own goofy modifiers.
And so, you don't have to watch them roll. Yeah, that's a good point. It looks like they have started off with Lore and Aquarake at 13 MP. That's pretty decent. You don't get many water-based attacks. Lore.
It's not often you get to use Lore in these games because there's really not too many great ones. But Aquarake is... not too many things are... invulnerable to water, so they can do some pretty beefy damage early on, and especially with our random distorted MP values, a 13 MP Aquarake is pretty good.
And let's not forget that I think most, if not all, of the mechanical enemies in the game are weak to water. So if you come up against an early Guardian or something, that's going to do quite a bit of damage. I could be wrong on that. I often am.
I'm pretty sure they're vulnerable to lightning, to bolt, but I don't know about water. Zelfer opting to take that NPC out the game. He just really didn't like him, I guess. He really wants to do this tutorial just to show all of you watching at home.
He probably felt sorry for that poor guy who gets ignored every single time. Ooh, tasty early Megalixir in World of Ruin, South Figaro. And a heal rod, of course.
And there it is on Zelfer. I think I saw somebody else grab a Megalixir somewhere too. It may have been the same area, but I didn't think so. I guess we'll see.
So we had Mr. Anti there in Figaro Castle. I completely missed what he got, unfortunately, from the chat. But I'm sure our handy-dandy tracker will let us know.
Looks like it could be an Esper, considering he's got 2, but... we'll wait and
Siren.
see.
Thank you, Franklin. It's been a long day over here.
We see we got Keith doing a little early grinding also.
Seems to be having some MP issues, which isn't the greatest if you're planning to rely on lore right now. But I'm sure he'll fix that soon enough.
And also, as much as I praise the Illumina for being the best item in the game, it does require, each time you swing it, it eats 20 MP for that guaranteed critical. And at the start of the game, some characters don't even have 20 MP. So getting a little grinding for some couple levels can be a good strategy to make sure you can take out bosses.
And I've noticed, even if you start with natural magic, so you have an MP stat, it doesn't seem to crit until you've actually equipped an Esper, which is an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, it must be some vanilla weirdness, as we often see with this game.
Vanilla is delicious. It's our buggy little friend.
But we love it.
Well, we have to love it. If we didn't have vanilla, we wouldn't have this.
Great point. So, Mr. Entity's gone to Narsh. Let's see if he finds himself some Illuminas. And we have Zelfer finally hitting up South Figaro.
And Fraggle grabbing himself that Siren Esper. Mr. Entity there dueling with my favourite NPC who just will not get out of the way no matter what.
Chancellor Jr. We should lobby to have his sprite changed to the Chancellor. Got a couple enhancer buys on Zelfer's screen down there. He obviously hasn't been to Narsh yet, or at least didn't check the weapons room. There's Fraggle grabbing his Siren Esper, but I have a feeling Zelfer might change his mind sooner or later. But enhancer are a good early weapon for magic casters. Nice beefy magic boost from those.
It is worth remembering those Illuminas are very expensive because I'd say they're normal price, but they're not normally buyable. I think they were marketing around 55,000 gold. It's not easy to get that much this early in a seed.
Not easy, but totally worth it if you can. I would sell my 2 firstborn children for an Illumina.
Yeah, I would sell a kidney for an Illumina.
Yeah. If my video game children existed.
There's also certain characters I would sell for an Illumina.
Yeah, Gao can go. I would trade him for, probably a wing edge or something.
Strago can leave as well. Not interested in that.
See, Mr. Entity doing the oft unchecked clock room for that thief knife. It's one you don't see every day. I like it.
I've been in there once and it was in a vanilla speedrun.
Yeah, I think I checked that out one time when I first started running this randomizer and just decided, you know what? Too far out of the way. Can't be bothered. Even though it's really not that far out of the way.
So we've got Keith heading down to the Figaro basement. Another
And
good
now
area
Mr.
for some early
Entity-
treasure.
Now Mr. Entity has spotted the prize. So he'll be selling everything he has. See if he sells that gem box. Nope, he's gonna hang on to it for now.
I wouldn't be so sure. He is looking very thin on the cash right now.
You know, gem box can be very useful in the end in terms of speeding up some fights, but in early game it's not really that useful simply because you typically don't have the MP to double cast spells often, or at least the good ones. So I personally would ditch that gem box to get me an Illumina, because as mentioned, it's not only a great weapon offensively, but it's great defensively. It's got so much M block on it that a lot of things just whiz right by you.
Yeah, in this situation, I would definitely toss the gem box as well. The defense from the Illumina alone is worth, not even taking into account the amazing offense.
So we've got a boss fight happening down on Keith's screen, and he hits Ghost Train. So I believe we have the undead flag turned on, as in Ghost Train is no longer undead. However, as we just noticed, still vulnerable to instant death. Just not Phoenix Downs or Revivifies or what have you.
Yeah, so anything Odin, Raiden, Doom, I believe Break works on most of them. Or your instant death proccing weapons, yeah.
But, as I learned in a seed recently, X-Zone does not work, at least on the Ghost Train.
Well, there's no rails there. How can you send him to the X Zone?
How did he get inside a castle?
You make a fair point.
Okay, so as Hawksnorf pointed out, I could be mistaken here. It's not guaranteed, I should say. Maybe it works, but it definitely can miss.
I think X Zone has a naturally quite high miss rate.
Yeah, I think we now that you mention it, we did look that up, and it's something like a 80, was it 85, 75? Out of what? I don't know. But yeah, just not a great hit rate. So unreliable, but can work.
So, Mr. E fighting the good fight against Ifrit and Shiva. Or trying to, anyway.
So I wonder if he found the flame shield that a couple other people found, and if he's willing to break it.
Looks like he is. He's going for it. Can't say I blame him there, getting that out of the way. Especially early, it can be a real pain, that fight.
Agreed. Best to ditch it, get the XP, get the levels. You can find some defense later on. Also, Flame Shield has the downside of taking more damage from ice spells, so it's not 100% perfect.
True. For me, it usually has a different downside, but that's because I'm usually hunting for Genji gloves, because I'm a firm believer that the best defense is a good offense.
I'm right with you. As long as you've got, something. You don't want to get to Kefka, that first tier hits like a truck. If you're rocking some Illuminas, but you're wearing leather armor, you could still be up a creek.
Quick on Tritok there. That could be useful. I've seen it useful.
I believe Ultima is still an option, is still in play for this seed, so we'll see
if
indeed. We know we have access to gem boxes, quick, and Ultimas at least somewhere in the seed, so this could turn into it could get hairy real quick.
Mr. Entity making the possibly quite brave decision to check out Kefka and Nash early. It's a lot of time you're throwing away if this doesn't work out. Especially if you save over your save.
Right. But not a lot of people check this one, and if it ends up being something great or something seed unlocking, it can be a real advantage.
That is true, but it's especially dangerous when you only have two characters because you're forced to have two parties, which means you're fighting this with one.
Solo, yeah, can be rough. And so we know this one isn't a character. This is either going to be an Esper or item. So it's not going to open any new gates. However, if it's something like an Esper with Ultima on it, for example, can give you a big advantage early on, if you can get past it.
Meanwhile, we have Fraggle at that Welt check just finishing up, so he'll get his Tritok with Quit. Zelfa appears to have discovered the Illuminers and is doing some frantic shopping and rearranging. And Keith is going for the Ancient Castle. I hope he doesn't get walled by the dragon. Because that guy likes to walk everywhere I want to go.
So I noticed Zelfer just put his fighters in the back row right as soon as he equipped those Illuminas. What do you think about that?
I believe they do the same amount of damage, don't they, from the back row? Not certain, I might have to look that up. Yes,
Yep,
they do
they
indeed.
certainly do. So it's a good play.
A very good play.
But Ragnaroks, I believe, do not.
Oh, where is Cecil when we need the answer to these questions?
And Fraggle's headed up there to try his hand at the Kefka and Narsh battle, too.
You are very correct. Ragnarok does not have long range, so it doesn't do the same damage from the back row. Just one more way the Ragnarok is inferior to the Illumina.
The added bonus of a Ragnarok, and the only reason I like, well, I don't like it over Illumina, but the only advantage it has over the Illumina is that its proc is non-elemental, procs Flare. And there are at least 3 bosses I can think of that will absorb Pearl, so it can get you in some trouble that you won't have with a Ragnarok. That's, edge cases.
So Keith successfully completes his dance with a dragon and gets himself the Crusader Magicite. Very nice. Let's see what we've got here.
Now round 2.
Cure 2 at ×4. It's not amazing, but could get him out of a scrape or 2.
There are some seeds where you don't get any curing at all, so I'm sure he'll take it.
Definitely. So I believe Zelfa just brushed Ifrit and Shiva aside. So he'll be ready to move on now.
Looks like Fraggle's doing a bit of grinding before his Kefka fight.
He's going to be very disappointed when he gets to the bottom of the screen.
Can you? What? You can't go back up and save it in the middle, right?
Nah, the save point disappears once you start the
No,
scenario.
I'm just kidding.
And it wouldn't help. He's facing Atma when he gets down there.
Well, if he kills enough of them, he can do it. It'll just be probably 50 of them and take all day. So yeah, he's out of luck.
Foxnorth asking if Flare has the longest spell animation. I believe it does. I know Pearl isn't much shorter, but Flare is definitely longer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the longest, but it's definitely too long. It's like a 2-phase animation, and if they just cut that final phase where it kind of spews outward, it'd be much more tolerable.
Life would be much better if things stopped spewing outward.
Yeah, just kind of a life lesson. Meteor, I don't believe, is longer. And Ultima might be a toss-up, but I think Flare is probably longer than both of them.
Yeah, Meteor's actually quite quick. I mean, it's not tier 3 elemental quick, but...
Right.
So, Keith is done with all of his Figaro checks. I'll see where he goes next. Zelfa checking Zozo. And Mr. Entity not far behind him.
Checking that chainsaw room. Quite fun in the vanilla game, but it's really just a hassle for a probably not worth it item in the randomizer.
Yeah, I mean, the clock, yeah, like you say, it gets you a random chest, but it depends whether the clock is worth the time. That's not my best joke, but I tried.
I'm going to move right past it as if it did not happen. It would be interesting, though, if maybe there's some way in the future we can maybe designate special chests that require extra effort, maybe have a better chance of being something good. Who knows?
For example, the chest at the top of the Fanatics Tower always pulls from the good items table.
Right. So Fraggle has hit Atma, and he's given it a go.
Yep, has Reflectons, throwing out the dispatches with the Illumina.
Although, I mean, it's a solid strategy because you don't have that much MP, as mentioned at the start of the game, but sword techs ignore weapon, so the Illumina in this case isn't doing him any good offensively.
However, it is Atma, and this is probably the better strategy, because if he normal attacked with it, he would risk a proc, and that's a lot of healing.
Yep.
Atma, one of those lovely folks who likes to eat the pearl and take big heals from it.
He avoided getting frozen there, so that's good. I wonder if does he have an elemental shield he can throw at him? I suppose not, or maybe he already did. I didn't see the start of this fight, but I would imagine if he can crack a flame shield or a thunder shield or something we've seen from the other runners, that he might actually be able to do it. But I think this clean sweep is bad news for him. Oh, we survived it.
Zilfa picked up that first character, I believe, from the Zozo check.
Who do we got?
I did not see. I'm doing really well tonight. I'm guessing from his path it's Sellers. He looks to be going to South Figaro check. Which means Entity will get it soon. Keith now having his very own argument with Ifrit and Shiva, and this is a good fight to use Dispatch on because those two have insanely high defense for a fairly early game boss.
And from the Sellers check is Mog.
With Sketch, so I don't expect to see him sticking around for very long.
Yeah, that's not a command you want to see. It has one use in the entire game, and it's still, even for that purpose, completely unreliable.
Well, it has one use in the randomizer. Obviously, in the vanilla game, you've got the sketch glitch if you're that way inclined.
Well,
yeah, here,
sure.
Here the only use.
The game, I should say.
Yeah, here the only use is the Ultros 3 fight, and even then, it's rolling the dice on whether it hits or not.
And I could be wrong on this, but if you do beat that fight using Sketch, you may not get any XP from it.
I believe you are correct. So Fraggle heading into Zozo. Finding that Sellers. I have had the option to use Pommel for the Vargas fight before, and I forgot.
I have done it. Still requires a little bit of luck, because at the start of the fight, you still have those bears, the Ursas, I think. So it's a 1 in 3 chance you'll hit him, but I have done it.
Looks like Zelfa's taking the hit and going to do Lone Wolf and Kefka Nash more than likely. Be interesting to see whether he can get past Atma.
I believe.
He has done a fair bit more than the others, so he's probably a little bit more on the levels. And has more than one character for the fight.
And now he's got a power sash. Don't count that out.
And if you can afford it, Sellers, who can equip an Illumina?
Oh. Looks like he's not going to get a third one yet.
So it's worth noting that while there is a small amount of equipment randomization on who can equip what, anybody who can normally equip something can still equip it in this seed. So Mr. Entity up at Albrook, growing himself an Ice Rod from a clock. Fraggle heading into his Air Force fight at Zozo. And Keith having what looks to be a pretty bad time against Ifrit and Shiva. Hopefully he can overcome it.
And that Ice Rod would have come in handy now. Well, I mean, not for Shiva, but
Cyan at Lone Wolf. And Mog straight out of the party. I'm not even surprised. He's not even stopping to look what Cyan has. Mog is just gone.
It's got to be better than Sketch. However, well, I was going to say Mog can equip lances, but we've already got Edgar, so Dragoon stat's still in play.
A Wing Edge or a Cyan? What do you think about that choice there, Boo?
I mean, it's a tough one. A Wing Edge is a terrible weapon, so it's not terrible.
That's okay. A good point from Franklin. Terra has Sword Tech, and now we can do Cyan's Dream.
Excellent.
So for those who don't know, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say in vanilla, Sword Tech not worth using. If you haven't played the randomizer, you're thinking right now, Sword Tech. I'm not sitting around waiting for 5 minutes. But luckily, we've sped it up and it's actually a really powerful and useful command in the randomizer.
Yeah, and for those who don't know and maybe haven't gotten that far through the vanilla or haven't done some of the optional stuff, doing the Cyan's Dream area of the game unlocks you all of the sword techs no matter what level you are. Which is why it's going to be very useful here, instead of having to grind to some ridiculous level to unlock Sword Tech 7, which is Quadra Slice. Which really puts the hurt on things.
And Cleave, especially, which is an instant death move that, as long as somebody or an enemy is vulnerable to instant death, cannot miss. And it's quick, so it's my preference over something like an Air Anchor, which also doesn't miss, but it takes too long.
And let's not forget Sword Tech 6, I believe it's Stunner. Very useful sometimes in those clutch poltergeist fights.
And I've noticed quite a few people, at least talking about employing magic Cyan strats, or rather Sword Tech user strats, where you buff them up with earrings and enhancers, and you can use in the Stunner as your main damage, since it's so much quicker animation-wise than something like a Quadra Slice.
Okay, so Keith has finally gotten through his Ifrit and Shiva, so he's going to pick up Tritot. Fraggle looking at the Opera House. Let's see how well the rats behave today. And Zelfa doing Atma with a full party.
Looks like Cyan has health. You might have said that now that I mentioned say it out loud, but that's his contribution.
Health at these levels and these HP amounts is probably going to be quite useful. I'd say it's equivalent to at least a Cure 1, maybe at a push Cure 2 as you scale up.
Yeah, I think health at least codes as a Cure 2, but considering Cyan's magic power is so incredibly low, it doesn't do a lot.
But I'd still rather have Cyan using it than Bannon.
You take that back. I'm just kidding. I have no love for Bannon.
Hashtag ban Bannon.
Hashtag bring Bannon back.
Alright, so I think Mr. E is either picking up or has picked up his Mog. So I expect a trip to Lone Wolf happening fairly soon there. And we've got
he
Tumble.
already tried the Kefka at Narsh fight once, but he might be more inclined to do it once he sees the rewards at the top of the mountain.
Well, exactly. Once you've got 5 characters, you can take a full party up to that Atma fight, and you're a lot better prepared for it. As you can see with Zelfa just passing it.
Got some tumbling tumbleweeds up on Fraggle's screen. Oh, and he elected to keep Mog. All right. Employing
No. That's not Mog. That's Edgar in a Moogle suit.
You are right. They got me good.
It's cosplay day today in the Opera House.
Probably the better strategy. If you really want to see Mog in your party but want an effective party member, just put Edgar in a Moogle suit.
I'm a little concerned for Fraggle right now because he is taking a long time in what I think is his first rat fight, so hopefully these are runnable?
I think they should be. But they're not terribly dangerous, and they do give a lot of XP. It's a pretty good fight to have, especially if you have something like Cleave, which he doesn't.
Yeah, and it is only 20% of the fights that you can't run from, I believe. 80% are guaranteed to be runnable. However, as we all know, 20% in this randomizer can feel like an XCOM 5%, and happens every turn.
Every time something comes along.
He's not even trying to run. That's a little confusing for me.
I think I saw Bolt 2 available from Terra. Could probably... Maybe I misread it, but I think we could take these out in one hit if you wanted.
Oh boy,
Maybe
is that Sellers?
Might have concerns for MP.
That's Sellers with Capture. That's not what you want to see.
Capture, as I learned recently, also not a good candidate for somebody with an Illumina, as Capture cannot crit.
Which is a bit of a shame.
She's not using the Illumina. Luckily, he's got it on Terra, but probably better just to fight it out if you have access to a Illumina.
So Zelfa, unsurprisingly, straight to Doma check in the World of Balance. Nice, quick, easy, just one boss, one and done.
Super fast check with some XP. One of my favorites.
And Keith finally heading off to the Seal Gate. So it's not a character at Doma, but it is a Welk fight, so that shouldn't cause anybody any problems. Don't know about you, Boo, but I've gotten to the point where sometimes I just kill the shell for fun.
It can be fun, especially when you know it's not going to hurt.
But
Zelfa
clearly doesn't like fun and chooses to just take it out in one hit in head instead. In the head instead.
Never been accused of being fun. Just kidding, Zelfer.
Can't fault the man for playing to win.
Good job on that fight. Do it fast, that's what I say. This is a race.
Entity here discovering that is not a character at Figaro Basement, but he hasn't done Lone Wolf yet. Raiden there, Fire 2, Ice 3, Doom. All at quite low learn rates, but that's not bad.
Not a bad Esper. Sadly, no bonus. But I like to do the Edgar's South Figaro Cave check early in the game, because there's really only one boss, and then you get access to two more free checks, and also there's quite a bit of treasure down there. There's 5 boxes in the basement, and then there are, I don't know, another 5 or so on the way to Ancient Castle.
Meanwhile, it looks like Fraggle was booed off of the stage at the Opera House and has chosen to try his luck on the Magitech Factory instead. What do we think to that play?
So, Magitech Factory can be great because you've got 2 bosses basically back to back, so you can get 2 checks done real easy, and then you can go for a third if you want, but luckily you can warp out to avoid that big 6-minute 4-5 fight fiasco at the end. However, it's possible you can get yourself stuck in here if you're not careful.
I've done it before.
So early game, it's risky because you're not as powerful, and if there's a boss you can't overcome, as long as you're in the first area, you can warp out. That is, if you've remembered to bring warp stones. But if you go down there into those tracks, you're stuck there till you get out, or you're looking for an old save.
Meanwhile, Zelfa finds Vanilla Stooges. Is it even randomized? Because we have to say it once every week, you know.
Game's broken. And he's got access to Quasar, which is one of the other useful lures. Quite, it's a little beefy on the MP. Can't cast it a lot, but it's definitely one of the more useful ones.
Yeah, it hits everyone. It's non-elemental. It ignores defense, I believe. It has its uses. It's just a little low on the magic power as well.
Whenever you see that lore come up, I look for Grand Train, and if it's not there, I just move on.
I look for Grand Train unless it's a character I've not been using and I'm in Kefka's Tower, in which case I'm looking for Exploder. Just for
actually, if you can get Arrow early, that's actually a really good one to get to. Arrow's super strong for how much it costs at the beginning of a seat.
Yeah, there's also a good argument to be made for Big Guard and Pearl Wind.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen Big Guard in a seat before.
I think you have to start with it.
I've never seen it.
Looks like Guardian first up in the Magitech Factory. Not a terrible boss if you can defeat it quickly, but the longer that battle goes on, the worse it gets.
Does he run any other program besides Ultros?
I don't think I've ever let him survive long enough to find out.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's the only one I've seen. It's just weird they only included one battle program, and it was an octopus.
To the wiki!
So, we've got a dead check for Science Dream number 1. Got some Marvel Shoes. Marvel Shoes not a bad item, but not really what you want to see at the end of a fight.
Okay, so Guardian will go through Ultros, then Dataluma, then Air Force, then Atma. You don't want him to get to that last one.
No, but that must be a long fight, because I've grounded out with Guardian before, and I've never gotten past Ultros, so that's interesting.
Yeah, a long fight is really bad against Guardian. Well, Zelfa has one Gaia gear. He's a quarter of the way to Quakestrap. He's probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Fraggle got himself a Pearl proc on Guardian, so hopefully he's getting close.
And Keith opting for Leet River. It's a fairly safe pick in this seed because there's no bosses mixed in with the random encounters. So he shouldn't have any, floating goddesses to worry about.
And down goes Guardian for Fraggle. Yeah, Leet River, not my favorite check. One of my least favorite checks.
Yeah,
anytime you're on rails with forced encounters, it's just not my thing. But it's one of those things where if you check it and it ends up being something good, character that unblocks a lot of gates, you're in a real advantage because I'd say only half people bother doing it.
So I believe the first check in Magitek Factory was Ifrit, which, again, is this even randomized?
And Fraggle just got the Ifrit Esper as reward, which I think had a Fire 3 I saw on it, and a couple other tasty spells.
That is what I was referring to, yes. Mr. Ensteer going into the ancient castle, checking out those chests.
Oh, right. I was thinking you meant the Ifrit battle, not the Ifrit Esper.
No, that was the Guardian fight.
Page.
Yeah.
Because we have already fought Ifrit, and I certainly don't remember where that was. So
that was Welk. Welk spot for Ifrit and Shiva.
Welk, no.
Is that a character I see in the second check for Cyan's Dream?
That would be Strago.
Oh,
everybody's favorite.
Oh, no. So here's hoping for something nice and hidden in the Fanatics Tower.
Hopefully not a necessity, for Strago has the worst checks of any character in the randomizer.
Yes.
And he's just not a very good character. But
so the second
Keith likes him.
The second fight in Magitek Factory was a Daedalema and got you the Terato Esper. With Pearl at times 2, it could be useful. Keith's Terror just took a small nap there over on Leet River. And that's the last boss in Cyan's Dream down for Zelfa.
Well, he'll be just tickled pink to get Strago. I know he's a super fan.
GP Rain, how can you turn that down?
Oh, looks like Mr. Entity's going for a dragon. Dragon's unscaled in this seed.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't try it. I wouldn't try it at those levels, but more power to him.
Luckily, it's one that's not going to take him out instantly, like a dirt dragon. So he may be okay, but it can get hairy. Kind of like Guardian, the longer you go, the worse it gets.
Ice 2 and Life 3 on Unicorn. I don't know if that was picked up in Cyan's Dream or earlier, but that's quite nice.
That must have been the third, like the throne check, because I didn't see Unicorn come up anywhere else.
So both Fraggle and Keith are on their Rails sections now. One in Leet River and one in the Magitek Factory. Both have got a boss ahead of them and we have no idea what they're going to be.
Things are starting to get hairy for Mr. E. His timer's running down. He's got a muddled character. So he's not out yet.
Nope, it's not over till everybody's taking a nap. And for us, that's at least another hour, I think. Fraggle breezing through the fights on the train tracks up there. That looks like a fairly comfortable path. No nasty surprises in there, like, Gigantos is.
Did I just see somebody use a heal rod the way it's supposed to be used? Or was that something like an ice rod and he's wearing a snow muffler?
I have no idea.
On Mr. E's screen, I saw his Mog hit his other Mog, I don't know which one's which, with a rod, and it healed him. If I see real heal rod strats, I might just lose it.
This will be the run that kills Boo.
And down goes Terra in a Moogle suit.
Ooh, Poltergeist is the third Magitech Factory boss. That is not what you want to see.
Yeah, see, this is the scenario I was talking about, where you can get yourself stuck if you because there's no warping out once you go down that elevator. You're here. So if you can't kill it, you're in some deep doo-doo.
And of course, Fraggle has Celes, but hasn't finished the path and gotten Mog and Cyan yet, so there's no easy stunner in there.
Checking to see if anybody has stop, which it looks like we don't yet.
Don't think so, no. Well, Zelfa's going to be there in a few minutes to feel the same pain. Is that a Magimaster? No, that's number 24. That's not as bad on Leet River.
Not nearly as bad.
Magimaster, another one of those things you just don't want to come across, if you can help it.
Although, in a seed recently, where I was kind of like you were talking about earlier, I was nice and high level, cruising right through the seed, got to Kefka's Tower, ran into number 24, queued up an Ultima, and he immediately confused my Terra, and I Ultima'd myself and died.
He's a good guy like that. He knows.
Not a guaranteed win for sure.
Yeah, anyone who says that this seed doesn't cheat, that this game rather doesn't cheat, they're lying. Because Doomgaze is always going to appear if you're a multiple of 5. Muddle's always going to hit when you've got something amazing queued up. You know, it just happens.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. And infuriating. I see we have some Strago fans in the chat.
Yeah, meanwhile, it looks like Entity muddled through his dragon and is heading on out.
That should be a big boost for him. Even Skull Dragon, nice good XP boost at the start of a seed.
Very much. Zelf taking down Guardian, knowing not what awaits him in 2 bosses' time.
I'll be interested to see if he goes down there. He might warp out.
I'm trying to think what other checks he has available. I know he has Leet River, which was not a character. He does have Old Man check. I don't think I saw Mount Zozo, no.
Yeah, you know, you're right. He might be thinking his alternative are Strago checks, so he might go for it in hopes for another character. Looks like Ifrit also had Magic Power +2 on it. That's a great Esper.
And it looks like Poltergeist about to finish giving regular business. No, he's made it through with the clutchest of clutch Illumina swings at the end there.
Wow. That's impressive.
It's not pretty, but hey, if it works.
A win's a win. I'll take it.
And that gets an Aura Lance, which if you've got someone jumping, you know, that's a very tasty find.
Ooh. I love it.
Oh.
But he's not out of the woods yet. He's got one more fight to go.
Mr. NC checking Fun Barber. So over at Mobilis is an EXP egg in the clock. I love that clock. That's my favourite treasure check in the whole game.
Everyone loves XP eggs.
Let's see, what does the little girl not want us to take away today? Ragnarok. I don't know whether that's the sword or the Esper. That's part of the fun of this randomizer. It could be either, but either way, I think Mr. Enty's probably going to want to take that.
Yeah, he'll do it.
And there's Discount Interceptor showing the way.
Maybe it really is Interceptor. You don't know.
I do. Interceptor's in the cave on the Veldt at this point.
He's making trips back and forth, bringing beer or rum or whatever the hell is in those things in the little mini kegs under his chin.
Well, look at that. 2 Mogs in Mr. Entity's party. Anybody who was feeling bad for Mog, get your kicks here.
And it looks like Zelfer is going for it. He wants to avoid the old man checks, and he's hopping the train.
Doom is the final fight in the Magitech Factory. Those last 2 fighters not pulling any punches.
Not pretty. Luckily, he's got those Illuminas, which do a real number on Doom.
Hmm.
Unless, of course, he force fields his way out of Pearl damage.
I don't think Mr. NC's going to be too happy with that, from Barber choosing to remove Edgar and Terra. And it's a Rexall, which means Illuminas are a risky proposition.
I think he's got some magic he can use, maybe?
He has Bolt too. That's all I really saw.
Maybe not.
Bismarck doing nothing except laughing. Doom is down for Fraggle, so he gets to walk away with his bounty from the Magitech factory. And hopefully go find some more characters, because he's lagging behind a little.
Ah, he does have an ice rod, though. Don't split it. Don't split it. Single target. There you go.
That's some tasty damage. And Fraggle now going back to the Opera House to push through those rat fights of those tumbleweeds.
Sticking with Bismarck strats on Rexall, I see. Hopefully after that ice rod, he won't have too much more to go.
And Zelfa has received his KFC order. Other chicken chains are available.
He likes them spicy.
He can keep all of the hot wings, he can just keep them away from me.
And he's going to employ the Sword Tech Stunner, as Spicy Chicken here is vulnerable to stop. And it's not guaranteed, but I think it's, what, 50-50? Perhaps, if you get the desired effect. But once you stop Poltergeist, he's pretty much a pushover. I mean, he literally does nothing.
Though you do have to remember, as I've forgotten in the past, stop wears off after a while.
Oh, yeah.
You want to reapply that.
He definitely can wake up and ruin your day.
And he does know a lot of nasty tricks too.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a problem with him, though.
Yeah, already quadra slicing for around 3,600 damage.
So it must have been an Esper reward from the third Magitech Factory phase, as Fraggle's still rocking the same 3 characters. But I didn't see what Esper we got. Although we'll see it soon on Zelfer's screen.
Zone Seek. Thank you, Franklin.
Or Franklin will tell us.
He's such a good guy, you know?
It's a thankless job, but he's great at it.
And if you also feel like he's doing such a fantastic job, go follow our tracker. And our runners too. And if for some reason you want to follow the commentary team.
Let's see, so Keith is back in South Figaro. He must have found himself a Celis.
Yep, he was just up at Zozo. So that checks out. Surprised we still haven't seen Mr. Entity go after Cyan yet. It's up at Lone Wolf.
Narsh, yeah, Narsh Mountain there. I think, see, that's kind of what I was wondering, because he knows what that boss fight is, and I was wondering if he was going to avoid it until he was much stronger. It seems to be the case, but hopefully he does it soon, as that's a good character to unlock.
And Fraggle doesn't even appear to have gone to the South Figaro free check yet, which is an interesting decision.
Yeah, he must have forgot.
I would want my 4th character now, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're not doing a split XP here. There's no downside in having a 4th. It's just another meat shield, even if they're terrible.
So, as predicted, Zelfa kicked Poltergeist out of the way and is now ruining Doomsday.
So, as foreseen, perhaps, Mr. Entity's on his way up Narsh Mountain as we speak.
Again, it's the reverse commentator's curse. I don't know how we're pulling this off.
Maybe it's me.
You're my good luck charm. Must be
You're
that.
welcome, everybody. But he remembers that those Illuminas aren't going to do him the most good, so he did a little shuffling there in preparation for Atma. But I'm sure it won't be an issue now.
Especially not when he has 4 characters. He has Cyan, who will be able to heal a little bit, if nothing else.
So, do we have? Are new characters joining at average level?
They are indeed.
All right. So that'll be more incentive to use Cyan. If he was starting at level 3, it's kind of a toss-up there.
Yeah, that'd be a bit of a nope, but average level, yeah, it's a good new flag. I like that one.
Definitely a good new flag, although it's not without its downsides. It's mostly good. However, if you have a great Esper, you get fewer levels to apply those bonuses if they're starting at a later level.
Speaking of great Espers, I just saw Strength +2 on Zone Seat, and a lot of nice magic.
Yeah, that's a tasty one, right? Fire 3, Ice 2, Life 2. That'll do it.
I would not
Especially
be
on someone with Sword Tech.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Zelfa go and have an argument with the dragon just to get a few levels from that, boost that strength up a bit, get those spells learned.
So do you put it on your Quadra Slicer or do you put it on your Dragoon?
Oh, for me, you put it on your Quadra Slicer.
Wrong. Incorrect. The answer is Dragoon, always Dragoon.
If you like using Dragoons, perhaps, but it's not my style.
Well,
the difference for me is that the Dragoon gets a bonus from their weapon, the Quadra Slice does not.
Very true. Either way you do it, it's a great use of a Strength Esper. You always want to see it.
It's a shame, though, because I've not seen any Magic Espers, really.
You haven't seen any? Is that what you said?
Yeah, looks like Sabin hiding in the Opera House. Fraggle heading straight into the waterfall.
Yeah, Ifrit. At least, if I understood you correctly. This Ifrit Esper has magic powered +2 on it, I'm pretty sure I saw.
Okay, I must have missed that. Ultros in the water where he belongs. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Down he goes, straight away.
He got scared off by that hefty jump. He didn't even want to wait. He's like, I'm out.
So it does seem like that despite not going down the route to get Mog and Cyan, we may have another path opening up for Fraggle, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be great. Let's get a little interest in this run. I'd love to see some more some varying patterns here.
So there's no character at the waterfall, but there is a Fenrir Esper, one of the useful ones for the end game.
And I believe we have multi-summon turned on in this seed, which means you can just keep cranking those at every opportunity.
Cure 2, Life, and Bolt, however, won't keep you up at night with those spells.
Not as delicious. Mr. Entity giving Atma a round 2.
And one of my favourite checks to do early game, the Imperial Camp coming up for Fraggle. As we see Atma on the corners, well, top left and bottom right, because they're all in the corners.
Imperial Camp is an interesting check because it has a quote boss fight, but you're not fighting a boss, so it's not free, but you don't have to do a boss battle. However, you can still run into some really awful fights, so not a total freebie, but less risk than most.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, other perks for me is it's fairly quick if you don't get a character. You've got a couple of treasure checks in there, plus if you're looking for an offering for any reason, there is a monster in a box. And we pull Alexander from the Imperial Camp. Atma down for Mr. Entity. He'll be glad about that, I'm sure. Atma seems to have given Cyan the business for Keith, though, so hopefully he can find a way back. Or just leave him on the floor, I'd understand that too, to be honest.
Looks like it appears Keith hasn't done Cyan's dream yet, so he doesn't have access to those good sword techs, which will make this fight just a little bit longer.
Well, don't forget, neither of them can have done Cyan's Dream because they only just got him at the top of the mountain.
Oh, right. He is... Yeah, he's... Okay, that's a fair point.
Right, what's in the train, Fraggle? Are we going through it today or not? Ramu. Yep, it's a Magicite. We'll be taking that, I think.
You know, I like to check it out first and make sure it's a good Esper, because this is quite a long check, and it's one you can't warp out of. So, there are plenty of downsides to this check. However, that's a very good one.
That is a very good Esper.
He'll be doing it.
Would definitely not kick that one out of my team. Keith sadly having to reset on Atma by the looks of it. And Zelfa's finally going to go and check out his ancient castle. Maybe we'll see another Skull Dragon get destroyed today. Maybe not.
You know what? He's already level 35. I'm betting he goes for it.
Yeah, I mean, with that new Strength plus 2 Esper, I'd definitely go for it, just because you're pretty much guaranteed to get a level, maybe 2 or 3 out of it.
Yeah, it might be a couple.
In Unscaled. And that is a lot of frogs on Fraggle's screen.
Oh yeah, and they jump too.
Hypnotoad has invaded. Obviously, a formation you very much want to see if you're doing the vanilla speedrun, because that's where you spend most of your grinding time. You just don't want to get licked.
I don't remember if Fraggle has Cyan yet, but I don't. Regardless,
he does not.
I don't think Reach Frogs are susceptible to Cleave.
No, he doesn't even have Cyan yet. What you see on the screen is what you get for Fraggle at the moment.
That's right.
However, Reach Frogs drop tons of money and a lot of XP. And yep, Zelfa definitely going for the Skull Dragon there, and well, max damage in one hit, that's... Yeah, I think he's going to be okay.
He'll be alright. A little touch and go there for a second, but
I feel bad for the dragon. It's not very often I say that.
Making use of the Pearl spell, which you don't see every day.
No, you don't, but if you don't have an Illumina, it's a good call.
For sure. Looks like Keith is headed into the dream.
Very much. Probably also looking for those wonderful sword tech. Ooh, and a monster in a box for Fraggle, and it's the Presenter. Very quick one if you want a set of Tiger Fangs, because all you have to do is doom it to death. Or break it to death.
Or cleave it, or
any other method of inflicting instant death.
And it looks like he's remembered, so should make short work of... Well, he didn't even need it.
Something I learned recently is that the shell is also susceptible to instant death, I believe. Or I may have been using a fixed dice, that's it. Either way, if you kill both parts of the Presenter, you get twice the Dragon Claws.
So basically twice the money.
Yes. Let's see, Mr. Entity, go travelling up Mount Zozo now. Wonder what we're going to find here. Don't think I've seen anyone come up here yet. Doubling back for that little outside chest. It was Doom Darts. That was probably not worth it.
Doom Darts do sell for a pretty good amount. And we do have Illuminas available, so perhaps a good thing?
Yeah, very true. And it looks like we might be taking the dragon here as well.
Oh yeah. If you took the Ancient Castle Dragon on, you got to take this one on. There's a save point right here. If it doesn't work out, no harm done.
And it's a white dragon.
A minute or two.
Has very little health.
But not one you want to catch a Pearl proc on.
No.
But worth the risk. Probably, you just zerg this one to death. It'll die eventually.
He does like wasting your time at the start of the fight, though, by casting all of these Pearl spells if you can't interrupt him. And he is losing characters. Yeah, I think Mr. E's decided it's not worth it.
Tri-Tuck goes down on Fraggle's screen, so that's the Phantom Train done.
Nice. And yeah, I mean, fair play to Mr. Entity. You know, try it. Sometimes things just don't work out, and you just have to retreat.
For sure. Yeah, luckily they put save points near most, if not all, of the dragons. So at this point, worth a shot. Maybe not at the start of the sea when you're level 5 or something, but why not? At least see what it is and know if you want to come back later.
Zelfa also heading up, and he's going to pick up his very last Esper that's required. And I suspect he'll have less of an issue with that dragon at his level.
I think so. But his offense has been predicated on a lot of Pearl, so interesting to see what tactic he'll take.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Fraggle finally going to pick up Mog, who may see a Cyan over there soon. Keith, of course, still going through Cyan's Dream. Made it through the Stooges, which is possibly the roughest hurdle there.
See, and here comes the dragon and his mini pearls. I believe he can cast up to 3 at the start of a fight.
However, he can't cast any if you do this and mute him.
Yes, and if you're rocking those Illuminas, you can just block them. Saves you time on the animation too.
Yeah. Of course, he may absorb Pearl, but he doesn't absorb anything else to my knowledge, so you can go ham with any of the powerful magics, really. And down you go.
Pretty much a pushover once you survive that initial salvo.
Fraggle is up at Mount Colt now, still avoiding Lone Wolf. Probably still a little scared of that Atma, I'd suggest.
I suspect Mr. E might be looking for Genji gloves, or maybe he's just checking for anything useful, but nothing doing at Nikea.
I can't believe he didn't pick up sprint shoes. Such tragedy.
One day, putting sprint shoes on will make you 4 times faster.
And here goes Mr. E into Cyan's Dream, so he's going to have his own little encounter with the Three Stooges. Shoon? Sean Connery time.
Shoon. The Stooges. Tentacles up on Keith's screen. Looks like it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, they're not that bad. I believe that's the final fight in Cyan's Dream. And we have a Yeti at Mount Colt to fight. Not as a reward yet.
Zelfer picked up another Esper, and a fairly useless one, so it's on to the next one for him.
But Zelfer is 1 character away from go mode. And he's checking from Baba. He's going to be very disappointed.
Looks like Fraggles might be making use of those Dragon Claws. I'm pretty sure I just saw a scratch right across, right down that big Yeti.
Surprised he felt it through the fur. And Keith, possibly reevaluating his life, looking at Strago there, and out goes Cyan. That's a decision.
That's, well, it's a bold strategy, Colin. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't have lost the strength, personally, for what is actually not that great a magic caster. Zelfa, meanwhile, has bitten the bullet. He's gone to the Fanatics Tower and he sees a Gao, and he's probably saying things that we can't repeat right now.
He's gonna do it.
He left. He's out. He's out.
I guess he does. Well, no, I think he's got plenty of magic power. He's gonna do it.
He just went to save. Okay.
But as I just remembered, Keith's little avatar in Discord is Strago himself. So this may just be a maybe giving someone some love since nobody else will.
Yeah, Keith and Zelfa spent a lot of time in stream together, and we know that Zelfa really, really dislikes the old geezer, but Keith quite likes him.
Maybe Keith's taking a potty break? Or he's just really examining the intricate details of that throne.
I think he's trying to see if he can see all the melted swords, you know? I might have the wrong throne there.
Hey, he's back.
Mr. NC has just discovered his very own Strago. He's now pushing on through Cyan's Dream. And Fraggle heading down to Figaro Basement.
Zelfer making that long climb. Finally reached the top.
And Zelfa saving himself 55,000 GP with an Illumina in a chest.
Yeah, it's a good find. Even when they're available. Interesting play.
Yeah, putting the Illumina on Edgar rather than Terra, that's
I think
That's a thing.
probably because Edgar has no other. I think Edgar was using the lures, and he was throwing out those weak quasars up until right now. So he's probably just gonna use some other magic on Terra, since she's got the magic power, and he can just attack now. Well, no, we're in the Fanatics Tower, so you can't attack. So I guess he just wants it for the defense.
possibly, and it looks like Keith has changed his mind over Strago.
Wise decision.
The meme is dead. And Narapa over on Zelfa's screen. That's fine. He takes a bit of time if you can't kill him quickly. Although, he has Reflect, doesn't he?
He does, but he's also susceptible to, or I think she, maybe, is susceptible to instant death, if you've got it.
Yeah.
In non-magic form, I should say.
However, Zelfa there using my favourite strat in the Fanatics Tower, Berserk strat. If you can pull it off, slap Berserk on one of your characters, and all of that you can't attack here stuff, straight out of the window.
Never even had a chance. So that is, as soon as he gets to the bottom, go mode for Zelfer.
Indeed. I don't even think he took the dragon on the way up. Must
Yeah,
be
he knows
very
he doesn't
happy
need
now. Yeah. So assuming there's no major pitfalls in the tower, I think Zelfa's possibly 20-25 minutes away from finishing at most.
Yeah, we'll see if he does any shopping beforehand, but he's got the levels, he's got the gear. He might just want some sleeping bags, some elixirs, another Illumina, who knows.
We got Keith heading in for that wonderful Poltergeist and Doom action in a few moments.
Here's hoping he warps out early.
Yeah, I kind of hope that for him too. I'm not sure we're going to see it, but it'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, he's at a pretty decent level now. It shouldn't be too big of a problem for him. It just takes so long.
Although, I mean, Poltergeist can be a problem at whatever level you are. He's one of the few that just doesn't care.
Yeah, unless, if you've got stop.
Yeah, I mean,
But
he has done Cyan Stream, so he does have Stunner available. Fraggle looks like he's going to be heading over to the Ancient Castle now. And Mr. NC just finishing up in Cyan Stream. And away Zelfa goes into the tower.
So did we get anything seed altering out of Sabin? I wonder.
I saw Phantom.
So
But
no
they have
new
Fenrir.
characters, no route altering stuff.
I don't think so, no.
That's a shame. But it happens.
Though, I don't think I saw him do Collapsing House, so maybe something there?
Yeah, that's a freebie. Should be, and there's quite a few treasure boxes in there. That should be an early check once you find Sabin, depending on how early in the seed you are. Once again, you don't want to do too many free seeds up front and have the enemies out-level you. But at this point, definitely give it a try.
Now, I will say Collapsing House can be a very quick check, so it is entirely possible he did it and I missed it.
Certainly possible.
But Fraggle only 2 Espers away from the Esper count, and he's going to get one of them here. If, after this, he goes for finally getting Mog. Oh no, he has Mog, sorry. After this, he goes and gets Cyan.
Cyan.
And then Cyan's Dream gets him his last character. He's in go mode.
Zelfer making his way through Kefka's tower, not bothering with the boxes. Who needs them when you're decked out in Illuminas and Ragnaroks and who knows what else? You just go.
So I keep seeing people talking about this door timer glitch. Do you know what this is, Boo?
Nope.
Awesome.
I feel like I've definitely known it before when I'm watching vanilla speedruns and whatnot, but perhaps it just skips the cutscene. Or is he talking about? Yeah, I remember seeing it at a GDQ, but it escapes me what good it is. But I don't know, glitches are not my thing. I don't put too much time into learning them. I like to play the game, not skip the game. But
yeah, same here.
I understand some people are into that stuff, so that's cool. Just not for me.
Like, don't get me wrong, certain minor glitches like the party switch save point glitch that don't massively change things, very minor glitches I'll do, but
yeah, there's a fine line. You know, if you argue against one of them, you might have to argue against all of them, and I don't care to make the argument, so if that's what people want to do, cool with me. Well,
exactly.
Unless of course we ban it. Unless of course we ban it in a race, and then it's not allowed, and don't do it.
A moment of silence for skipping Kefka's tower.
Sorry, Drew.
Mr. Anstey heading into the Opera House. And Fraggle heading out of the Ancient Castle. Keith on the second fight of Magitech Factory. And Zelfer taking down Fake Inferno in the Inferno spot.
Inferno forgot to eat his Wheaties. I don't know if that'll make any sense to you over in the UK, but people
I
in
get
the
the reference.
Love it. Okay. Actually, I don't even know if anybody born after about 1995 gets it either, even in America, so who knows. I think Wheaties are still a thing. I'm just not sure the slogan still exists.
I think Mr. Anstey may have forgotten which world he was in at some point here, because I'm sure I just saw him come back up the stairs.
Yeah, he might have gone through the floor there.
He might regret going through the fun door when he sees the fights if he gets a lot of those tumbleweeds, but I'm sure he has the capability to get through it.
Acceptable to cleave.
True, very true.
Anytime I have cleave, I look for, well, depending on the situation, of course, but look for good grinding spots because you can cleave your way right through them. It's not the fastest way if you have tons of MP and really great spells, but it can get you out of a lot of jams.
However, no tumbleweeds in that first fight, just the bunnies and the birds. That's pretty free.
I've had that talk. But he's going to stick with the pounded out strategy. Probably not a bad idea. They're not that strong.
Here comes the cleave. There we go. Looks like Fraggle going for the Fumbaba check now. And Zelfer with the toughest of the fights. It's Vargas and the Bears.
That's the name of my last band. See, I can make jokes too.
They must have taken a pummeling in the reviews.
No. We're not doing that.
Hang on a minute. It can't be one for you and another for me.
Hey, mine wasn't a pun. And down goes Vargas.
But mine have more punch.
Pummel or your joke?
My jokes.
Your pummel joke. Both of them.
Oh, Lord. Ooh, Goddess as a statue.
Nice.
Another place where that Illumina is just not going to help.
It's just not going to do it. Although, wouldn't be surprised to see it and throw it anyway.
Not sketching with Marg, a little bit disappointed there, just to see what would happen. probably nothing, let's be fair.
See if you can fit those two sprites on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, that's one chunky statue right there.
Really showing off the Final Fantasy VI art style and graphics for the old Super Nintendo. It's pretty impressive what they were able to do, considering that this game did come out near the end of the life of the Super Nintendo. Really kind of groundbreaking back in its day.
So, a quick note to everyone. When a runner finishes, don't be too confused about the time that appears on your screen, because those who weren't here at the start won't know, but your restreamer is not in the best form right now and may have forgotten to start the time. So it's a little out of sync with the runners, but we'll get there.
It's within a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Max.
It's within a couple of seconds.
Now, where did Keith get Ultima? Didn't see that appear.
Sure.
Maybe Franklin can tell us, but certainly going to speed him right along. So, Zelfer employing some Quake strats.
And down goes Goddess.
Down goes Goddess.
Rexall making way on Fraggle's screen. Keith looks like he got through Poltergeist with no problems.
Just one more statue to go for this fight.
It looks like I've brought out the punners in chat.
Thanks for that.
Anytime, buddy.
See Zelfer doing some Esper checks before he moves on to the big one. And then we've got Keith hitting statue number 2 with Doom, but we've got Ultima, so shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, Mr. Entity looks like he's a little bit bored of life and is going to yeet himself off a waterfall. And here we go, Fraggle on Collapsing House.
Finally, I'm very curious what this is.
Me too.
Not a character, though.
But that's his 13th Esper.
Looked like the ghost, yeah. So, wouldn't have been a route-altering check.
No, though, the treasure. Tunnel armor for Zelfer as a statue. That's going to be really difficult to get through.
Use the GP rein, Zelfer. You don't need the money anymore.
I think he's just going to avoid using a Strago turn out of principle.
Just out of hatred.
Sheer spite. Ah, Carbuncle has Ultima apparently.
He just got that beefy Zone Seek Esper as well. So, it was from the Elite River check, which he did quite a while ago, if I remember correctly. And Fraggle picks up. ... Fixed
something.
dice.
Well,
So
we do have
that was-
those offerings in a shop.
Oh, that's right. But considering we have unlimited access to Illumina's, hopefully, well, maybe not hopefully, but I don't see him employing that strategy. But maybe he wants to mix it up. Or maybe somebody can't equip an Illumina in his party.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer not to see the fixed dice in play, but that's mostly because I want to go to sleep tonight. And offering fixed dice does take a little bit of time.
It's a little slow.
Like me today.
However, at the beginning of a seed, it could be great. Nor's defense has its own very own damage calculations, can do some really great damage if you've got nothing else. Even if you have other things, like I mentioned before, even if you have Illuminas, you have a very limited MP pool at the start of the seed, and some fixed dice and an offering can get you through a lot of stuff.
And the third statue rounding out the trio is Dullahan. So, other than Goddess, the statue's not even trying today.
Couldn't be bothered. Staying at home.
Do my eyes deceive me? Is Fraggle finally going up the mountain? He is. He's going to get himself a Cyan for his work. Which puts him one character, i.e. Cyan's Dream, away from Go Mode.
I have a feeling he'll probably check the other two first. Well, then again, he may want access to the sword text, so hopefully he does go straight to the Dream. And to answer your question, Jack, Kefka at Narsh was not required. It was the Mog's check. The Lone Wolf check was Cyan.
Lone Wolf may not be required though, because we haven't seen most of Strago's checks. We've not seen the Gao checks that came from Fnatic's Tower.
That's true. Not required, but that's the way all of our runners have taken so far.
And extremely useful, because finding Cyan when you've got Sword Tech on Terra is just a yes. So Zelfa preparing for that final battle. Hopefully Kefka plays nicely today. Spot of emergency equipping on Gao, ready for whatever is to come.
And he remembered he has a gem box on Edgar, so wisely removed his Esper.
Yeah.
With a gem box.
Yeah, and you don't want to find out that you've got the Esper on the wrong person late.
You certainly don't want to find out you've got Fenrir or a Golem on that person by the time you get to Tier 3.
Indeed. So, as Zelfa comes up to his final fight, just a quick reminder, this is the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide weekly community race. We do this every week, every Saturday night at 7 PM US Eastern Time. Different sets of flags each week. For example, last week we had a team race with one person playing the game and one person with access to the spoiler log telling everybody where to go. Today we've got a more casual and more normal set of flags, the sort of thing you'd expect on your average run, really. If you want to get involved, why not hop onto our Discord? There's plenty of friendly people around who will help you get started, plenty of races to get involved in. It's fun, we're nice, come along.
Mr. Entity just made a sad face, and he's still looking for 3 more Espers. As Zelfer is taking on the arms and the head.
Yeah, that bottom tier of Kefka really didn't skip arm day. He is buff.
I like that one. You can keep it.
Yeah.
Fraggle, on the other hand, decided he would try the quick check. Don't blame him whatsoever. That's what I would have done too, but I'm not going to find his last character there.
No, most definitely not.
I gotta say, I like Terra. I like seeing Terra employ the Quadra Slice. It's good to see her get out and moving around.
And we have Keith doing a walk of shame out of Mount Zozo. That's not something you see every day.
Buy those warp stones, folks.
I mean, at 12 Espers, you'd hope to have the warp spell.
Yeah, maybe. Although I'm pretty sure on a seed I played just this morning, I did the exact same thing in the exact same spot.
On a seed I played just this morning, I required 11 characters in a 7-13-0 run. That was not pleasant.
Doesn't sound like it. Mr. E's back for some shopping. Let's see what he's looking for. Or maybe he's just perusing.
You were right, Fraggle is doing every check he can before Cyan's Dream. Bit of a shame.
Mr. Entity has gone to the auction house. Let's see what his luck looks like.
That looks like a tasty 50,000 GP red cap.
Strike 1.
It's actually a pretty terrible price for a pretty good piece of equipment.
Yeah, but you got to figure at this point, don't need the money. I think he's illuminated up. So All you need, for those who don't know, in the World of Ruin, all you need is a 90,000 GP, and you can just buy everything in the auction house, guaranteeing yourself at least one Esper. Well, if they're available.
Except the imp statue, because you can never buy that.
You can definitely get trolled, so it's a good idea to save in between.
And there's an Magicite.
A lengthy process.
We have Seraphim first off. Was that the 20,000 GP Esper option? Keith in the auction house? No, the opera house. The other house.
It's one of those houses.
They all sort of merge into one by now. Fraggle taking on the dragon, but still hasn't found his last character yet. That's a shame for him. But all of our runners getting pretty close to go mode, so the battle for second is going to be pretty tight, I think. I would say the battle for first, but I don't think anything that Kefka can do now is going to slow Zelfa down.
No, I think he's in pretty good shape.
Although, had he taken a 10 hits there without healing on Terra, that could suck.
Did he take out magic first?
He muted magic and doomed tools.
Got it. So not out of it with the 10 hits, but yeah, my preference is to save or do the 10 hits first, because if you kill them both at the same time, you can, as I've found out the hard way many seeds ago, you can get quartered and then immediately 10 hitted, and you are done.
Indeed. We have not Zelfa, Mr. Entity in Ebbets Rock. We've not seen this one yet, so this is new information.
Ah, yes. This is, I believe, his most favorite check of the game. He loves this one more than any.
This is another of those places you go to when you don't feel like going fast.
Yeah. He actually hates this one. He's let me know of his disdain for it many times. But it looks like he got through this one relatively quickly. This one, with those random teleports, can take an obscene amount of time if you get really unlucky.
Indeed. But the boss, that's not gonna do anything.
Looks like Zelfer's making use of Empower, which is a sword tech you don't see too often, to drain some of that health.
And also still bringing out Quasar even this late in the game. Just shows how useful it can be if you don't have anything, better. Of course, it is non-elemental damage, and that's what you want for the girl at the back there, who absorbs absolutely everything. Because she hates people who want to have fun.
The good news is she only has 10,000 HP, so she's easily rid of, as long as you have non-elemental damage.
Very much so. Meanwhile, it looks like in chat the after party is being planned once again.
Mr. Entity is just one Esper away from go mode.
And Zelfa is going into the final phase without Terra. That's a bit of a shame, but I don't think it's going to slow him down.
He won't miss her. Meanwhile, Fraggle is on his way to his final character. And Keith really isn't that far behind. He just got his final character, and he's got one more Esper to go.
Indeed. Apparently Mr. E forgot to buy the 10 Esper. I hope he remembers. Otherwise he could be wasting a lot of time here.
Yeah, hopefully he's making use of one of the many trackers available. Really helpful to use a tracker during these things, even if you know all the checks. Sometimes you just forget.
Yeah, very much. Nobody's got a perfect memory. And looks like Keith going in for that Zen check.
One of the worlds was pretty pricey, so that could have been he probably did the check, didn't have the money, and then just didn't go back.
Balance,
World of
however,
Balance,
dirt cheap.
that'll do it. So Keith, has he officially hit go mode?
He should have, yes, and apparently Mr. E also has his 13 espers.
Ah, okay.
We've been led up the garden path. There we go. So another 2 entering go mode.
It was a latency issue. It was already there. It just took a minute.
Yeah, definitely. That 2 just looked like a 3, right? Oh, the other way around.
Or yeah.
Words are hard. They get harder the further away from 8 AM I get.
We've employed shock strats against Kefka, I see.
There is nothing wrong with a good shock strat.
I don't think he's in too much trouble with Goner, but it's gonna do a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it stung, but that's not gonna hurt. Group hug? What even is that? Is that Starlet?
Yes. Yeah, Starlet.
I think that is the first time I've seen Starlet come out in a race.
Could be.
Here we go, Keith heading into the tower as well. It's going to be very close between Keith and Mr. Entity. Then it's going to come down to whoever gets through Goddess the easiest.
Now I wonder if Zelfer found Fenrir. I haven't watched to make sure, but we do have multi-summons turned on, and that could really save you from those Havoc wings.
Yeah, Kefka is being a bit of a jerk to Zelfer.
Although perhaps it was on Terra.
Hang on, Gao just used Mantra. Does Gao have Shock and Blitz? Because that is disgusting to find that late in the run.
It certainly looks like it.
That's mean.
But it looks like Kefka is not long for this world. We've started breaking everything we've got. All stops.
And there we go, Zelfer is done.
GG's to Zelfer, our winner. And it should be a pretty close race between our final 3 racers here. I think Fraggle can he's not out of it.
I mean, yeah, sometimes, Jack, the rods just come in clutch, you know?
I think his issue was he was using Illuminus most of the fight, but he didn't have the characters with a lot of strength, and he didn't have a lot of level. I mean, I think he's probably level 40 or so pretty good levels, but I think a Rod would probably do more than one regular swing of the Illumina by an Edgar or a whoever the hell else was there.
So, I'm going to see if we can get Zelfer on board for a quick interview here. As we keep following the others, pushing through the tower. Fraggle, who has seen his last character and knows he's about to be in go mode now. And everybody welcome Zelfer. Dude, GG on a good run.
Thank you.
How was that for you?
A lot better than I was expecting, to be honest. Especially after I heard who ruled the seed, I was extremely worried.
I don't know what you're implying.
I'm sure you don't.
And you know, a shop with some Illuminas in it makes every seed better.
It absolutely does. It should become a standard thing, I think. You know, when we really just want to force something just to be nice and calm.
You know, that might be a fun flag to turn Illuminas in shops on, but only one shop in the whole game, and you have to go find it.
That could be fun.
Then you know what? That sounds fair, though.
I mean, I'd do it.
Yeah, I'd give that a shot too. Yeah, I think I'd run around and look for the Illumina, actually. Yeah.
So, if you're curious, Zelfer, we have Mr. Entity and Keith both in the tower, pushing their way through the bosses right now. And Fraggle just got Strago in hit go mode.
Oh, alrighty, very nice. There
Quite
we
a
go.
close one.
Alrighty, that shouldn't be too bad at all then.
So, any highlights? Any lowlights?
The lowest light was definitely forcing myself to go up to Fanatic's Tower, without a doubt. I was not looking forward to that at all.
You
And
enjoyed
as
the
soon as I got
workout.
home, I did not enjoy the workout at all. I am
We
not
saw
a
you.
Kefka soldier.
We saw you employ the berserk strats, though. I know that had to be fun.
You know what? It made it a little bit somewhat tolerable, I suppose, if I really have to admit it.
Made the whole climb worth it.
Well, let's not go that far.
I mean, I did see you walk into the bottom of the tower, see Gao, and I would love to have been next to you to hear whatever you said at that point, as you
See
just
the look
stood
on
there
your
that we
face.
couldn't broadcast.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's good not to have your mic on.
But you made it
I
through anyway.
I made it through. The words that were spoken will be left to everybody's imagination.
I love this tower. This is an amazing place. Let's do this more often.
You
Strapper,
can
my favorite.
interpret it that way if you want. You can interpret that also if you want. You go right ahead.
You and Keith both found Strago at around the same time, maybe ish. But Keith chose to put him in his party.
For one battle.
Oh, you did not.
Yeah, well, in my defense, he had GP Rain this time, and I'm not a fan of GP Rain.
No, I can't
And,
blame you. He took him right back out of his party a couple minutes later, anyway. But I think we did it. I think he did it for the memes.
He did it for the memes. Well, you know what? He does for some reason have an Avatar Strago on, so I guess
Yeah,
he
what
just
is that?
got memes.
So, level with me here, Zelfa. How upset were you to see Gao with such amazing ability rolls so late in the seed?
I didn't even check when I got him. I'm like, you're my 7th character. We're going into Kefka's Tower. I didn't even check at first. And then when I got in the tower and I had Gao in my party, I was like, all right, let's see what you do. And I'm like, oh, shock, huh? Well, that's amazing. I wish I had you about an hour ago. That would have been fantastic. I was a little upset.
Not to mention having access to mantra for those trains he ran into.
I managed to at least make use of a mantra, so you know that I was very happy to do that at least.
So you're saying you would prefer him over Terra?
Well, I don't know about over Terra. I was really hoping when Columnist hit, I'm like, all right, no Columnist protection. Let's see what happens. And I saw Terra get hit, and I'm like, of course Terra would get hit. That's like the last one I wanted to get hit, but
So,
Well, we had too much luck the rest of the seed. We had to even it out a little bit.
I guess that was it. I'm actually just happy I didn't see 2 Columnists, to be honest, because I was halfway expecting it. I'm like, great, I'm gonna have 2 people, and this is gonna be an interesting final fight.
well,
Well, you got through it.
thank you very much for coming in for this chat, Zelfa. I hope you enjoyed the seed. GG again on the win, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Sounds like a plan. You guys have a good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Zelfa.
you too. So, we have Keith and Mr. NC both going into their goddess fights now. Very, very close between the two. I'm going to be interested to see how this plays out. Fraggle not
But-
too far behind. He's in the tower.
But Keith has the benefit of Ultima.
He does. However, Mr. Entity has the benefit of 2 powered up characters.
Very true. Should be interesting. Ultima, not a fast spell.
And,
You can
yep,
take out pretty much anything, but it will take you a little while. I mean, unless, of course, you can do it in one turn. Look at
both
that.
fading out at the same time.
Neck and neck.
Really looking forward to the endgame of this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be down to good decisions and good luck.
And, you know, how the final boss wants to behave, yeah.
Fraggle
So-
hot on their tail.
Yep, Entity checking out his defense there. He's got Fenrir equipped. But no other good utility. I suppose no Golem, sadly.
and put Strago at the head of the party just for us.
Why not? To be
We all
fair,
need some exercise.
Strago with GP Rain could probably handle Tunnel Armor on its own at this point.
I mean, why not? Like I said, you're not spending money anymore. Probably more damage than anything else he can do.
Very true, very true. Fraggle heading up to his discount Inferno fight. Slightly overstepping the save point there. Not that I've ever done that, no.
Unheard of. And down goes Tunnel Armor for Keith.
Yep, very quick. As you would expect at this point, to be honest. Just a duller hand to go for both of them, I believe.
What's interesting is they split their party the same way, at least in terms of the left path there, both using Edgar and Strago in the same party and both fighting Tunnel Armor.
Yeah, I mean, Edgar's got a very varied attack this time. He's got the magic with things like Quasar, and apparently will have a good weapon on as well. I can see why you'd put him in a solo party.
Keith taking a little more careful approach, doing a little bit more setup. Can't blame him. You have no idea what's waiting behind that statue.
And let's not forget, here we have Mr. Entity, who's been running this for quite a long time, I'd say, and Keith, who is fairly new to the setup, and they are keeping pace with each other, neck and neck. You love to see it.
You do. It's a good time all around. Keith's been doing a lot of seeds lately. He's been hopping in a lot of asynchronous races, and he's really coming along.
Yeah, he's getting better. Really fast, actually. It's great to see.
And you two at home could get better too. Come hop on the Discord, run some races with us. If you need help, we'll answer some questions. Set up an easy race for you. Come check it out.
That's the point. You set up an easy race today, didn't you?
I did.
What were the requirements on that one? I've not looked yet.
3 characters, 8 espers, no dragons, and random pricing in shops, multi-summons, and you start with Celis, Terra, and Cyan with unshuffled, so like vanilla commands.
Nice. That sounds like it would be fun, especially for a newcomer to the game. I would definitely hop on and get involved in that if you want to check it out, because all you need to do is find those 8 espers.
Yep, after doing for the past 4 or 5 days of doing seeds that were taking me 2 hours or more, decided I wanted to do a quick one.
To be fair, a lot of those were self-inflicted.
Can't argue with that.
Mine wasn't, but I don't believe that took you 2 hours.
No.
Alright, here we go, Mr. Entity on the final fight. Fraggle just coming up to his Guardian and Statues fight, and Keith should be in this fight very soon.
So this is what I had to unlearn. So, in a manner of speaking, what Keith is doing now is taking a lot of time in those menus, making, triple checking everything. Sometimes, depending on the gear you've got, the magic you've got access to, sometimes you just got to go for it and lean on everything that you've done up to that point. Because as you'll see, Mr. Entity is they were neck and neck at that goddess fight, and now he's got a good minute or 2 lead on him. So the menuing and prep time is extremely important, especially in Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, very much. I mean, for me at this point, if I'm not equipped for this before I go into the tower, then I don't deserve to beat the final boss. The only thing I will check in the tower usually are espers, or if I run into a boss that I just can't get past without juggling.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of got to trust that you've made it this far. You probably got the right stuff on. Really, all you need to do is make sure you have your calmness mitigation and go. I used to move around espers for different bonuses to get those bonuses for those last couple levels, and it's just not worth the time.
So, you say no backup character for Keith there, Franklin, but as I found out recently, if you don't select someone, they still come in at random, in a random order.
Yep, it'll go down the list. You get to choose the one. You're basically your first party, and then if you want to select your backup characters, you can. But the game will stick them in your party no matter what.
Which, if his Celis takes another hit like that, might be required.
Now, does Keith have Golem or Fenrir available?
He should definitely have Fenrir available. I think everybody got that.
So in a multi-summon seed, cast that thing all the time.
Hold on. We just saw something you do not see every day. Fraggle stole a Minerva from Goddess.
Nice. That's a good pickup.
That's tasty.
However, at this late in the game, Minervas don't do you a whole lot of good in the final battle. Something you want to see early. And don't get me wrong, they're still great to have, but not a lot of elemental spells being cast in the Kefka fight.
That's a bio there. You want to get rid of that before you take a fallen one at the end, because one poison tick and suddenly you're not there anymore.
All right, so Keith heading on to tier 2. Mr. Entity still heading in tier 2. I haven't seen what he's taken out, but it looks like you may be getting close. And Fraggle's coming on awful strong.
He is indeed. One mistake by either of the other two, and Fraggle could be in there.
Also, I don't appreciate your puns in the chat. Don't think
The puns are fantastic. You hush.
Employing cleave strats. Probably the best use for cleave.
Yep,
Works
you want to
on
get rid of
both tier 1
Tools?
and 2.
Tools does some very nasty things if you leave him alive.
Now he's got to be careful here, like I was talking about earlier. If you kill all these tier 2 guys at the same time, it could be potentially catastrophic. Because, well, unless of course you've got mute employed, but the combination of quarter and 10 hits can really wreck your day.
However, if you take down magic, you are a quarter off the way to victory.
Nope.
Yep.
So, those ultimas are doing work, and I think Keith is just about to catch up to Mr. Entity.
Yep, I wouldn't be too surprised. Hopefully he can tank all the nasty that's about to come his way, though. Because apparently he does not have Fenrir.
But Illuminas are sometimes good enough.
And Strago in a Moogle suit throwing fixed dice on Fraggle's screen.
I wonder if did he pick up an offering? Maybe not.
Nah, only a single throw, I believe.
Mr. Entity moving on to tier 3. Keith is hot on his heels. I think he's on. Yep, here he goes. It's going to be a close one.
Yep, tier 3 here, mostly, for me, definitely the last sort of gate to the run. Because calmness can really mess your day up.
Yep, if you know what you're doing and you pay close attention, the final Kefka, the tier 4 fight, is no problem. The issue comes when you have things like Umaro in your party, or you're not counting how much damage you've done, or you've queued something up a little too quickly, and then it can So you're not completely out of the woods once you've made it past Calmness, but you're in good shape.
Getting the Whirlwind out there rather than the Merton. That's probably better in this situation because Illuminers will nice and handily dodge that. A lot of the time, anyway.
Illuminers fix everything. If only they provided more damage on jumps. Ooh, and down goes Cyan to Calmness, but we've got 3 moving on.
So that's Entity and Zelf are both losing a character to Calmness today. That's kind of rare.
Here comes a Merton for Keith. Let's see how he handles it.
Ooh, and a
Not a
Meteo
problem.
following it up. And another
What?
Meteo following that up.
You want big damage in the final moments of tier 3 here.
Three
Luckily,
Meteos in a row. Sleep is just not... And 4! Sleep is really
he's
bullying.
Cranky. He's cranky today.
Someone woke him up. And there's Calmness. Down goes Edgar. Only a single Calmness though. Terra and Celes for the final phase.
Okay, so it's 2 Ultimas versus 4 swings. Although Mr. Entity does have the advantage of being entering the fight first.
Indeed. And the Mega Elixir. The Mega Elixir helps.
Very much helps.
Cannot understate how useful a Mega Elixir is for that final phase, because not only do you get all your MP back that you've spent beating down everybody else, but when Fallen 1 hits, you want your health back fast.
Yep, save Mega Elixirs just for that very moment. If you only have 1, of course.
Yep, if I have 2, it's usually 10 hits and that. Occasionally I'll try and keep 1 for if I get Mertoned and can't really handle it by phase 3, but...
Yeah, they can definitely be useful in phase 3 as well.
And Mr. Entity is done! Second
He pulled
place.
it out. Good race, good race. And Fraggle's already moving on to tier 2. I think he made up some good time. Ah, Keith actually has 2 Mega Elixirs. He should have made use of one of those in the middle of all that Meteo spam, but he probably already had some actions queued up. He's got to be a little careful here. An Ultima counter could take out 3 of his characters, depending on... Well, Celes might be okay. Terra can definitely outlive an Ultima, especially with 4 characters available. However, if he loses one...
An Ultima counter would have been the ultimate bad move right there, but it looks like we've made it past that phase. I saw the head come out. And we have Mr. Entity on board.
GG, Mr. E.
GG.
Thank you.
So
How
you'll
was
be,
that for you?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't catch that. What?
How was that for you?
A little weird at the start. I made deliberately odd decisions in the hope that it would get me some sort of edge over someone. So I have no idea how that would have panned out for anyone else.
Are you referring to going up to Kefka at Narsh at the start there?
Oh yeah, I had a not quote. Fraggle and I were playing Kefka at Narsh Chicken, and I think I probably got there first.
That is true. Yep. But you both handled it roughly with the same amount of success.
Just
Death?
quickly jumping in, we did see Keith finish in 158.18, so that's 3 down and 1 to go.
GG Keith.
Yeah, that whole game for me was, oh, Illuminas are for sale. And then the entire rest of the race was just me going, is this a Genji glove? Is this a Genji glove? Is this a Genji glove? There were no Genji gloves.
Yeah, it's always fun to see those Illuminas in a shot, but they do become your MacGuffin, so to speak. Can trip you up, but you made it through, and it was a super close race there at the end. You and Keith actually killed Goddess at damn near the exact same time.
Yep, the fade out was on both screens at once.
Cool.
And then,
So that was pretty close at the end there.
Yeah, he had much worse luck with tier 3. I think he got medioed 4 times in a row, if I remember correctly.
Ah, nasty.
Yeah.
So
I had some poor luck there, but that was mostly just me going, I'm not paying attention to this. I'm gonna just not use Fenrir, because who needs that?
we were wondering if you had it, but
Oh yeah, it was on Terra, I just forgot to use it.
yeah. Well, when you have Illuminas, sometimes you can just power through. Especially, I know you didn't have it this seed, but if you get a Genji Glove and 2 Illuminas, I mean, why even bother casting anything, including Fenrir?
Yep.
So-
Most of that game for me was just mashing A.
Question for you, Mystery. You went to Ebbets Rock instead of buying the Tsen Esper. What happened there?
There was no Esper in Sin.
There definitely was. Everybody else
Yeah.
got it.
Not in World Ruin Tzen, which is the Tzen I went to. This is a known bug. I think it might just be the text is different between the two of them. But the one I went to said, you want to buy this instead of you want to buy this glowing stone.
World of Ruin
Yeah.
always says, do you want to buy this? It never says glowing stone, even if it is an Esper.
Ah.
Yeah, always buy it.
It's
Yeah, I
only
know.
balance that tells you what you're getting.
Well, now I know.
But no, very good
Well,
run
yeah.
nonetheless.
You had a pretty quick Ebbets Rock, to be fair. I was worried that your blood was boiling as you were going through, but it looks like you didn't really have too much trouble with it.
I really hate that check, but I do accept that it is generally pretty quick.
Can be for sure.
I'm now forcing myself to go there sometimes.
Anyway, Mystery, thank you very much for coming in. I hope you've enjoyed the seed, and GG on your finish again. And we're going to try and grab Keith for a little chat now.
Alright, thanks peoples. Thanks Atma as always for the game, and as also always Blue Jack.
Alright, catch you next time, Mystery.
Have a good one.
And as promised, now we have Keith McRocks. Keith, well done. Good race. Well run.
Thank you. That was fun.
How much did you enjoy getting bullied by Sleep at the end there?
Part of it was just I was lazy with Kane, but I wasn't. I was happy because they left my Ultimas casters, so that was good.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Fraggle's getting the same treatment here. The Meteos are not being kind.
Yep, nobody kept all 4 of their characters going into the final phase, so it's not just you. Zelfa and Mystery both lost 1, Fraggles lost 2, you lost 2.
It was a very close race there at the end, Keith. You and Mr. Entity in the tower got us at pretty much the exact same time. It was just a race from there, and he got a little better luck with his RNG, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
It was a good race, though.
Yeah, that was good. That was probably my best time ever. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good time, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Always
I mean,
be happy with a sub 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was flowing well. I don't know how. I mean, everything was kind of lining up pretty well. There wasn't. I mean, all the early bosses were manageable, and then.
And you had some good early checks too. You did a couple. I forget off the top of my head. I can't remember any at this moment. But you did a couple the other guys hadn't done yet, and looked to have an advantage. I think you found an experience egg also.
Eventually, I did. Yeah, that was. I don't know what. I
Mobliz.
just happened.
Experience egg was in a clock.
Yeah, it was the Mobliz
That
World of Ruin clock.
That was the clock in Mobliz, because I decided to go see what was there. Found out it was Ragnarok and left, but I grabbed the clock anyways, and it ended up being that.
And that did end up being a Ragnarok sword, not a Ragnarok Esper. In case you weren't
Indeed.
curious.
Either way, I did not care because I wanted the character.
Oh, you wanted a character? Okay.
I was just looking. Yeah, I mean, I figured I could find. Obviously, I still had Sen and Auction House, so I figured I would get something somewhere. So I just wanted that character. So I was like, well, I might as well check there if it tells me, and then.
Yeah, good
But
strategy.
yeah, that clock. I ended up just looking at it. So yeah, I was happy I went to the river when I did.
since that gave Ultima. I just had a feeling that it was going to end up. We were going to end up there anyways, but
Yeah, that's the check that you did that I don't think anybody else did, or at least not near that early. And I think you were the only one with Ultima.
oh, I
Definitely,
figured
yeah.
I was like, I knew that other people would ignore it for some reason, but
Because it's terrible and it should be ignored. But
yeah, I was at a decent level, so I figured I could handle the enemies, and I got close with the two little one fight there. I almost died, and then after that it was fine. But once I saw, okay, yeah, that made it a lot easier once I saw I got that.
So, any major highlights or lowlights for you there, Keith?
No, I mean, I think the only the low light was me deciding to go. I mean, I figured since I had Lone Wolf, I would try Kefka and Arch, and then
Atma happened.
I was my magic was doing so well that I was healing him beyond belief. So I'm out.
yeah, well, don't worry, you were not the only one.
I figured once
that was a
everyone got
popular-
Lone Wolf, they were like, well, I might as well try.
Yeah, popular spot for resetting there.
Yeah, and I figured, and then once I knew I had some cash lying around, I was like, I'll just keep buying Illuminas every chance I get. So.
And that is Fraggle finished as well. That's all 4 of our on-stream races done.
Nice.
Nice close race.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. So as usual, Zelford probably, did something special and got done early, but whatever.
Anyway, Keith, we're going to leave you, if that's okay, to go and dissect the run, and we're going to see if Fraggle wants to
All
come for an
right. Thank
interview.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Hope you had
Keith.
fun.
GG's.
Yeah.
Alright, so let me get some music going. And let's see if we can get Fraggle in. Yeah, while we're waiting, very, very close race, really. At least for second place. But
For
nobody
second, sure.
nobody blasting through the time.
Right, and nobody having a super hard time with it. Lots of resetting. It's a pretty good seed. Ultima was available, but not prevalent, so that's good. Otherwise, it usually just becomes an Ultima spam and see who can get lucky with their checks the quickest at that point.
Well, welcome, Fraggle. GG on the finish.
Thank you.
How did you find the seed today?
You rolled it.
I know what that means.
I mean, it turned out fine from where I was sitting. Everything looked easy enough to get through, apart from, a couple of walls you had. I know you were having issues with your battles in the Opera House with the rats. Those tumbleweeds just wouldn't get out of your way. But you made it through eventually. Same with the Magitech Factory bosses. I think, did you even beat Atma in the end at Kefka and Nash?
No, I bypassed that after the first time. With Atma, he's either you can beat him cleanly at a low level, or you've got to come back when you've got a full party in mid-20s. It is either easy or you just can't.
It was impressive, though, that you made it through Poltergeist in Magitech Factory. You got one clutch last swing by Terra. I think everybody else was dead, and we thought you were done for, but pulled it out. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we were inscribing your headstone at that point with Poltergeist.
That was planned.
Fair enough. Hey, if it's calculated, why not?
Terra as an Illumina, there's not much gonna get past that thing's evasion, and luckily Spicy was at a low enough level to manage. Thought the worst though was coming straight out into Doom right after it when I've got 3 people with holy weapons.
Yeah,
and
that was probably
Thorfield.
an interesting one.
Yeah. Did anyone do the river?
Yes, Keith did the river.
What did the river give?
An Esper with Ultima on it.
Indeed.
Carbuncle, I think.
Yes.
So yeah, he
So-
was pretty set for offense at that point, but I think you had the lead on him by then. But once you find Ultima, it's just
Yeah.
not much left to do.
Anyway,
Yeah.
any closing comments from you, Fraggle, so we can finish up?
Boo Jack.
Yes.
And there you have it, the final word, folks. Alright, thank you very much for coming in, Fraggle. Hope you enjoyed the run. He definitely didn't leave halfway through my sentence, I swear.
He made his statement, and he's out.
Indeed. So, that was this week's Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide community race. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. A very different seed from the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure next week's will be something very different as well. Just wait and see. Any closing comments from you?
Big thanks to Amatech for working on the creator of our randomizer here. Thanks to all the runners. Thanks to everybody watching. Hope everybody had a good time, and come on by the Discord and hit us up, do some races. It's fun.
And make sure if you want to see, more Worlds Collide action, feel free to follow the runners, follow the stream team, and follow Randomania. We're here every week, 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. It is every Saturday night, and we do this all the time. So, I think that's pretty much it for today.
And we're out.
Yep, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.